Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Have two amazing doctors with us today, Dr. John Scott Perez and Dr. Joseph Shen. We're going to be talking about some amazing products. We've talked about the Allicin V already, the garlic product that John Scott Perez developed. And today we're going to talk about some amazing new technology, AI-based technology Dr. Shen is going to share with us. So, I'll give you a little background on Dr. Shen. He's an American cardiologist who is known internationally. He is the inventor of the Multifunction Cardiogram, MCG, electrophysiology AI technology that is FDA and ISO certified. It's accurate within 95 plus, accurate within 95 plus with the AI in diagnosing the human cardiovascular system. It's machine-based on Trident True System Engineering. We're going to discuss the machine learned AI history of MCG and how the technology works. We will discuss the MCG can baseline your cardiovascular machine state and also be used to track diet, healthcare, and lifestyle. Sounds very fascinating. The discussion will highlight Allicin V relative to SARS CoV2, heart inflammation, as well as any human therapy or supplementation that is cardiovascular related. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And Dr. Shen, you want to give us a little bit deeper background on your yourself and your technology?
I'll be happy to. My name is Joseph Shen, and I call myself a liberated, independent thinking physician. And by the way, let me clarify. I'm glad I'm not a cardiologist because I believe that cardiology itself is a captured profession. Let's just be frank about it. And I believe that there's much more in the human physiology information that come out from particularly the mitochondrial network of a human body. That's this amazing creation. And that information is way beyond the boundaries and knowledge of allopathic cardiology of the 20th century. And the reason I got involved was that I was a volunteer contributing data to the first generation developers, the professors who came up with the theory behind this, which I'm going to talk about in a few slides so you can understand exactly what the theory was all about. Basically, what my job was to contribute data and look at what's real, what's phony, and what's good, what's ugly, and what's bad. And so over the years, we developed good relationship with the first generation people. They noticed that I do have certain ability to do things that they believe they can lend their trust to me. And then in the 1990s, late 1990s, my professor is ready to retire, and he said, he set me down. He said, Joseph, we want you to lead the next generation and to make this technology available to everybody and commercially successful. I was really flattered, and I was petrified at the same time because I understood during that period of time learning, look at the data. And the one thing that really startled me was the difference between the real world data and what's really published in peer review literatures, okay? If you can call them literatures, okay? The gap was so huge, and that it just didn't make any sense to anybody. Because if you look at the real world data, the 125-year-old EKG now by this year never really worked. Okay, the accuracy to detect late stage diseases at best of 15%. Okay, it doesn't even reach the 50% mark. Okay, and if we look at the published data, so rosy, everything was so great, and unbelievably transformative technology. And then I said, what is what happened here? And it doesn't really jive, and real data, it doesn't work. And published data is like it's a best thing next to sliced bread. So then I learned more and discovered there was actually an academic echo chamber. and people basically confirmation bias. They completely confirm each other. They tap each other on the shoulder. They go to the same country club. They go to the same conferences and paid by the big pharma, and they're buddies. Okay, so they support each other. Whether what they present is real or not really doesn't matter to them. But to me, as a physician, I was trained a physician. My job is for my patients. So that really outraged me. Okay, so by 1997, 1998, I had to make a decision, a moral decision, whether I would continue this allopathic brouhaha and I call it kabuki dance theater, and basically keep being deceived, that keep deceiving everybody else, and believe that you're doing a good job, pat yourself on the shoulder, and they make $500,000,000 a year and go home happily ever after. I could not live with myself. Okay, I said this is like existence. Yes, it's comfortable. I'm making good money, but what's the purpose of life? So lo and behold, the two major events clash and coming in, and the professors set me down for this, and I was really honored, and it was honored, but also really frightened because I know that the resistance we will be facing would be tremendous. Okay, because the
Dr. Shen,
narratives we're going to,
can you
yeah,
tell us what school? Okay, can you tell us what schools you went to
yeah.
and your
I went to
medical
Yeah,
school?
I went to a liberal college as an immigrant, and I worked full time. Went to liberal college, Lewis and Clark College, and studied the natural sciences. Then I got into medical school. I got into a California medical school, the California College of Medicine in Irvine, California. The reason for that because my wife got a good job in the accounting firm in Newport Beach. So I said, well, I'll tag along with you because you're the one who's making money. I'm the one who's consuming money. I better follow you where you go. So I went there. They gave me some scholarship, and I went to medical school, graduated. And then during the medical school era, I found that one really interesting phenomenon. The physicians trained, the medical students trained there, they're really not into basic science like physiology, chemistry, biochemistry. But those are the things that I really dive into very deeply. So and it's particularly the one that graduated, become orthopedic surgeons and cardiologists. I don't want to talk them down. These guys really didn't want to study, and those things that to me is important as a physician. So actually came to me for tutoring, just pass the exams. So basically, what I graduated medical school, then I got into residency, study, and I chose to do physical medicine because physical medicine actually is the fixed carnage after every the patients pass through the allopathic. I would say the the mess and survived. So my job was try to fix them. So also I have affinity to engineering, to the gadgets and things like that, and electrical medicine, EMGs and neuroconduction studies. All these things are more more physiological basis. And then I met the professor. I became a volunteer. So I
Was that at
basically
UCLA that you did your residency, Dr. Shen?
I did my residency in. I went to UCLA for a graduate program for biochemistry. Okay, and I went over there, but then same time I got accepted in medical school, so I didn't complete the biochemistry core master degree. I went to medical school instead because I always wanted to be a doctor. Okay, that was my lifetime goal. Then the revelation of meeting the professors and being a volunteer and look at it another beyond the allopathic realm of things, and I became basically uh, I was a reluctant insider, then I become a self-chosen, and I would say uh, outsider, and I just want to be an outsider because I believe that only an outsider can see through the system and maybe can do something that contribute to its fundamental transformation. And so this was lifetime experience, lifetime opportunity. I could not pass by. So I sold everything I have in this world possession. And with permission of my wife, of course, my son, thank God, the support of my even my neighbor supported us, and my friends. So I just jumped and started
Go ahead
company
and tell them
premier.
who your neighbor was.
And yeah, my neighbor was actually former CEO chairman of Pfizer, Edmund Pratt Jr. Yeah, Edmund Pratt Jr. And because he wanted to see our technology and he liked my son. He came to the garage. I was working the garage. He said, "What are you trying to do?" So I explained to him the mathematics behind that. Yeah, I know Lagrange mechanics, and you're trying to make this into a thing for a heart machine. I said also for a brain machine. They say, "Oh my God, okay, take your gadget to my house. Let me all my friends test it. See how they fare off. Can do I tested 11 guys in a party, and it happens that only one guy stick like sore thumb. It was his best friend, and that time it was the Pfizer's corporate counsel, and these two guys, rode limousine to Pfizer from Long Island to headquarters. Every day they share the same copy of Wall Street Journal. They're like brothers, right? And he lit up a Christmas tree. He said, "Joseph, are you pulling my legs? I just had my stress test and my annual physical. Everything was fine and dandy. What you're trying to impress me?" I said, "No, sir. What do you see? What you get? And you don't have to believe a word it says, but show this to a cardiologist." So he showed it to the cardiologist. So what is it? I've never seen this before. Don't worry about it. Toss in the trash. So 6 months later, he called me, and he said that was Christmas. He said, "Joseph, Merry Christmas." I said, "Oh, Mr. Connors, where were you?" I thought it was like Florida with his family, and he had a big, typical Irish Catholic family, had like 30 people in the family and multiple generations. He said, "I'm actually at Columbia University. I'm getting a bypass surgery Christmas Eve. Can you believe it?" He said, "Oh my God." He said, "I want to thank you for saving my life. And I thank you that your report, they really found out that he had a quintuple bypass surgery." And I said, "Oh my God, hold on, but let me test you. The surgery will be tomorrow, and I'll come to see you, and I'll bring a machine. You make sure that they allow me to bring the machine and test you." He said, "I'll make sure I block everybody who wanted to stop you." So I tested him, and before 6 months ago, he scored on MCG about 11, 12, 13 point. Okay, and category G, category F and G, very, very high categories, and very severe ischemia, very bad. Then after surgery, 48 hours later, they did excellent job, and his score was 4, from 13 down to 4. So the surgery worked, fortunately. So my neighbor, became my instant evangelist. He knocked on the door with a $5 million check, personal check. He said, "Joseph, I want to give you the $5 million, invest in your company, and I want you to succeed, and give me 10% of your company." Could I say no to him? I said, "Okay, thank you very much. I needed the money
Absolutely not.
anyway." I needed
And
money
by the
anyway.
way, Ed Platt, who was the CEO of Pfizer, his name is on the Duke Engineering School. It's
Yeah,
the Ed
exactly.
Platt Duke Engineering School. So
Wow.
it's not just any neighbor. I mean, this guy, he had a vision, and what his vision was to use this technology, okay, to help Pfizer develop heart medications. Some
Exactly.
had been on the shelf
That actually works.
and
Actually
bring them to
works.
people.
That was his dream, and actually, it was very admirable a dream of his. But he said, "Joseph, let me tell you, you want to get into this medical complex, industrial complex." He literally said that it's going to be resistance. It's going to be very difficult. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help you, but you have to realize you're facing very stiff uphill battle. Okay. And I understood that I remember every word of that. But cut a long story short, and all the years passed by, and he was right. Experienced a lot of resistance from the establishment, basically to the point that they literally want to destroy our company. And when I talk about the slides, we'll bring this whole story forward so you understand what the background is. But anyways, somehow we managed to thrive, and thank Jesus allows us to exist like this. And we're here. We're still trying to push forward. Now things are opening up, and a lot of people now recognize our work. And John Scott is just a wonderful friend of mine, and he's promoting us everywhere he can. Yes, he's also my evangelist friend. So it's an honor, and so that's me. I can stop my rambling now.
That's fantastic. So we know that Big Pharma, they do have good intentions. There's there some bad intentions are in there, but they're, like you experienced, Dr. Shen. There are good people within the
exactly
Big Pharma.
Any field, anywhere, there are good people, there are bad people, and it just
Sure.
you have the good ones, you have the yes, not so good ones, then you have the ugly ones.
Yes. And you and your company are one of the incredibly good ones, and we want to help you succeed. So we're definitely going to talk about this and get it out there. So I think a lot of people hopefully will see this and continue to move forward with it.
Believe me, we need all the help we can get. Believe me. So that's it. That's my story, and
that's fantastic. Yeah. Now you had said that you had this was developed over 2 generations.
Yes.
Can you explain that to us and the AI aspect of it as well?
Yeah. So the first generation was my professors, and both of them wrote the theory, which I'm going to talk about in the slides. And basically, one was a mathematician, and also he studied aerospace medicine. He's very much like John Scott type of person. He's a very diverse. He has a lot of talents. He does a lot of things, and this is one of these foci, so to speak. And then he had another partner, and she was really a professor of mathematics. And so they put the mathematical concept together, the physiological model, and from the systems point of view, and they adopted Norbert Wiener's systems theory or control theory. And Norbert Wiener was a very talented mathematician. When he was 17 in MIT and at Harvard, he was teaching postdoc on PhD students, post PhD students. Okay, major mathematical concept. And his major contribution to our technology was his control theory. Basically, what he does is that if you have the input of output of any system, can be black hole, can be the universe, can be the heart, can be the brain, a machine, whatever system. If you can interrogate, use input or output information, you can internally use mathematical relationships. If you understand relationships, you can explore the system without breaking it into pieces. And you can know everything there is to know about the system, and without even destroying the system, or even hurting the system. That was so attractive to us. I mean, to me, it's like, this is a magic. This is absolutely magic. So then the professors, because the complexity of the mathematics, had to build the best computing system to generate algorithms and the matrices based on the real data, and the mathematical brain to study the real data and put it together with the computing power to come up with the algorithms. So you have 3 things. You have the mathematical brain, you have the real data, then you have the computing power, which basically is driving the speed of computation. Then most important is after those combination together, you create the algorithms, which is really where the human intelligence is. And we believe that the neural network, which is the best machine learning neural network, were the best tools to do this. Now, that time when we're doing this, and in 1990s, 80s, and 90s, AI was in the winter. Everybody was poo-pooed about it. It was poo-pooed upon everybody. And we were the ones that actually said, well, okay, you guys can poo-poo it, but we believe these are really the best tools for us to really bring its complexity forward and make sure you extract every piece of information can give us what the real physiological reality of the human brain and the human heart really is. So that's the theoretical background behind this. And so we build a system faithfully based on the control theory, based on Lagrange and Euler mathematical coordinates, which I'm going to talk about in the slides. And exactly these are the mathematical giants, plus my professors, are the ones who were standing their shoulders out to build the system as we
Shen,
today.
when you started this,
yes,
you guys started, and correct me if I'm wrong, you basically started with Fortran and mainframes before modern computing architecture existed as it does today.
Exactly.
So you grew from there, right?
Oh my generations. I remember the first time that my professor tried to do a computation on the IBM mainframe. Okay, Fortran. And the one mathematical, we have 6 functions. One function took the machine 12 hours to process. Okay. Now we have 6 functions. Okay. And the microprocessor is so fast, we can do it within milliseconds. Okay. So you can see the generations of computing development. Actually, our technology grew up with the evolution of computing going forward. So God knows how many generations software we'll have to create.
Yeah. So
you know the story.
The importance of this is that this AI technology, which is in the news now, but everything else is part of the singularity that Ray Kurzweil and others have discussed.
Right.
And to be honest with you, the transistor and integrated circuit came from the 1947 Roswell crash. So the integrated technology appeared in Bell Labs. It appeared in Texas Instruments. That was really crude, but that timeline where we're looking at CPUs, computing architectures, supercomputers, and AI allowed Dr. Shen over the years to not only mature what he had, because he's collecting data from real patients, and he's going to talk about all of this. That curve, it's not just, it's all principles, because the same thing that I grew up in and where I come from with a heavy computing background, science, where we were back there has been elevated by the technology of everything from your phone to, that we're using, and we take it for granted.
Or your toilet seat.
To utility computing in the cloud. And so these things mature to where we are now and current events, but also, then you see things like cryptocurrencies and all these other things, and they're manifest as a result of computer technology. Computer technology is driving these things. So I'll be quiet.
It started with the Chinese wooden panel calculator, right? And then to the cathode ray tube. Now to GPUs. But because we're a small company, we have limited budget, so we have to be heavy on data, heavy on algorithms, light on computing, because computing power, now we're talking about multi-billion-dollar GPU farm, and we don't go there, because that is for brute force large language models, and without too much thinking, theoretical thinking, and also empirical data to verify, to validate every step of time, make sure your system is telling the truth, only the truth. And when you tell the information about somebody's heart, you better be damn right you're correct. Okay. Otherwise, you're doing disservice to the people you're trying to serve. So that's our principle. You have a mathematical principle, you have first principle, then you have real people data, They have the algorithms supported by computing frame that rely on computing power more on brain power. And the brain power is expressed by the algorithms that we created over the years. We keep constantly improving, optimize it, internal verification, validation, external verification, validation, make sure we don't lie to people, make sure the system does not hallucinate. Okay. Also, what we do is that we have two tracks. The research development side is a full-fledged neural network. Okay. It can go wild. And then when we converted that results of that work after the empirical data and the verification, validation, and make sure it works, and internally, externally, then we lock it down. Okay. This is the purpose of the system. You're not allowed to deviate from that because we're talking about people's lives. So we have a working system, and then we have a research development system. Research development, you can think wild, you can do things because you're not going to hurt anybody. But the system we put out there for the daily operations is a lockdown version of that neural network, because we know that it's safe, it's effective repeatedly. So the bottom line is that no one can declare that MCG lied to anybody, because it doesn't. What it tells you, what you see is what you get.
Fabulous. So, do you want to share some of your information with a slide?
Yeah. I'd be
Presentation.
happy to. Yeah. Let me get the.
And that
slide.
website was Premier Heart International, which is an international company. It's global. And then there's Premier Heart of Japan, and we'll kind of talk about that later. But this technology has a special relationship in Japan, and with the Japanese people are the hardest to diagnose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, show screen. Let me start the screen. Let me see. Open system settings. I'm sorry, this is the first time I'm using this, so
present, Dr. Shen. The present
at the very bottom. There's
I did.
Okay.
Something went wrong. Try again. Sorry, I apologize.
And then hit share screen.
Yes. Okay, try again. Okay. Loading. Chrome. Okay. And I'm sorry. I let me see. Okay.
So while he does that, I would mention that during this evolution of computing that we're all living through, you've got different countries and different patients with their medical records and their conditions, and that data is being gathered through this computer evolution. It's being gathered and it's being used in order to machine learn the analytics of the cardiovascular system, because you need a lot of data. So this isn't like, oh, we just invented it last week type thing, or this isn't a warp speed thing. This is Dr. Jen Quan Fang, his mentor, one of the professors that he's going to talk about, coming up with a model. Okay, these are high-end aerospace engineers coming up with a model of the heart system, and coming up with that model, and then being able to collect data and machine learn, refine it. And after you do that, then you can start diagnosing people with accuracy after you do clinical studies. And there's been a whole bunch of those. I'm sure he's going to elaborate on some of that. I don't know where he went.
Must hit the wrong button. It's okay. We'll hopefully come back in. We'll try and walk him through the present, and then share the screen. But tell us a little bit about Allicin V and how that correlates into Dr. Shen's work.
Well, let's just talk about the MCG at first, so you understand it. The MCG what it does is it takes the signaling and it demultiplexes the signal using algorithms and diagnoses you as a machine. So it's kind of like your car. You know, have your dashboard in your car, and you've got alarms and things like that.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry about that. And so,
No problem.
can somebody tell me how to upload a slide here?
Sure. You go down to the bottom where it says present.
Yeah,
You
I
click
did.
on that, and then at the bottom of that little presentation thing you get,
Share screen.
Share screen. Very good. And then you go to the top where it says window. Hit window and then click on your slide presentation. Hopefully it shows up in your windows.
It says a share screen. So I'm going to share screen. Okay. And then we have window. Okay, go to the window.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And okay.
And then click on yours. It should give you like
okay. now I got it.
Then you'll be able to see it as well.
Okay, so yeah, I can see that. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, I showed everybody's face.
It's
now.
Infinity
mirror effect. It's the mirror effect with symmetry. Escher.
Yeah, let me get the slides open. Okay.
You can just open up PowerPoint or whatever you need. The point is you have to have a AI model of the human cardiovascular system that the machine knows and can gather data on with accuracy. And you got to do a lot of clinical work. You got to collect a lot of data from millions of patients to do this. It's not easy. So when you take the model and you gather the data, that becomes more valuable than the actual machine itself. So the machine is a piece of user equipment. The processing occurs in the cloud, and it's in a neural network using modern technology. So it's faster because of the computing evolution of computing and the ability of the machines to work faster.
Okay, so I think I got it.
Awesome.
Do you guys can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. So we're good now. So I can sort of start. Basically,
I can't see your PowerPoint. I can't see your PowerPoint slide.
Okay.
You're on your screen that you're sharing is the StreamYard.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me use the. You want to do a PowerPoint? I can use PowerPoint. No problem.
It's the other screen, Dr. Shen. Select the other screen.
Okay, hold on.
You just click right in the middle of it.
I have okay. Just let me open the PowerPoint. Download it. Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. StreamYard's a little bit different than Zoom or,
Do stop screen. There you go. Click on stop screen, and then we'll start you from the beginning again. I think you're just you're having a problem getting it.
Okay.
No, not stop camera, Dr. Shen.
Okay.
Leave the camera up. There
okay, see. Okay.
Present and then pick the PowerPoint screen. Present and then pick the PowerPoint window. I'm sorry.
Okay. PowerPoint window. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I apologize for. I'm not good with those kind of things. Let me just say. Okay. PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Do you see it? I think so.
I see the StreamYard window. Okay. You're presenting the StreamYard window right now. It should have an option to select the window. You're on the window thread, the thread to the window of StreamYard, which is in your Chrome browser, versus the select. You need to select the window that's rendering your PowerPoint slide.
Okay. Let me see. So that should be on the present, right? I think.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, slides, PD. Yeah, present.
Okay, got it. And there's no slide here.
Well,
Your computer, okay? My computer. Upload files. Okay. Okay. Now we got it.
I think you need to stop screen, and then when you start it, you need to select the PowerPoint window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit stop screen at the bottom, then hit present. When it comes up, pick the window that's PowerPoint.
Okay. That's what I'm doing. And actually I can see myself. I can see the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. It's open now.
Why does it say? Why is it showing? Do you have any idea why it's showing his Google Chrome that he's StreamYard window?
Yeah, he's clicking on this. He's going to have you're going to have two different screens, I guess. Dr. Shen, you're clicking on the one that shows us. Click on the one that shows your PowerPoint.
Okay.
So when you hit, you'll see the window, and when you hit the window, if you have it up on your computer, it'll have the actual.
Okay. Present. Okay, we'll present again. And share window, share screen, right?
Share screen. Yeah, you can share the screen, but
Okay.
you'll have
Screen,
when you share the screen, you'll have to minimize your StreamYard window, and then you'll have to.
You know what? I'm gonna show the entire screen basically.
Okay, you can do that. Share the screen.
Yeah, I share the entire
screen. The StreamYard window and maximize the PowerPoint window.
Okay, I just did.
There you go.
It. You got it.
Oh my God! What a saga!
It's okay. No, I mean each one of these portals is a little different.
I apologize, and sincerely, it's a valuable time for everybody. But anyways, okay, let's go to the. Okay, so here's I'll talk about it. 120-year-old, 25-year-olds obsolete. Okay, and basically years of data collection. Yeah, EKGs have failed. Okay, and why fails? Because the echo chamber, because the confirmation bias. So I'm going to skip those. And our mission is to build a system actually to assist bedside diagnosis of heart and brain dysfunctions due to supply and demand imbalance due to any cause. Okay, and could be physiological, could be lifestyle, and it could be anything that can cause supply demand imbalance dysfunctions of these organs. It's all fair game, beyond the convention, beyond the allopathic religion. And so the goal is to solving the most challenging issues in diagnosis, such as early detection of and monitoring of heart and brain dysfunctions due to all causes. And Premier Heart's technology is to build a set of first Lagrangian and Euler mathematics and Nobel winners cybernetic control theory principles to really embrace the entire cardiovascular system and cerebrovascular system as systems instead of bits and pieces of a reality. And this first of its kind in biology and in physiology, and we basically looking at this cybernetic extensive application of best computational AI tools and digital signal processing and deep machine learning neural network techniques over the years and 2.5 generations. So we decided to strictly follow the principles of scientific method to design, build, and test the system we build. And so our research is grounded based on the rule and reality based on decades of empirical data gathering, vetting, and supervised machine learning, and meticulous process build reliable and trust worthy a test, a bedside test to help everybody. And we have gone through internal, external validation processes over and over and again, make sure that our data is 100% empirical evidence driven, not based on hallucination or imaginations of the creators. And so really, we're leading the new era of applying machine learning and neural network to digital medicine in the 21st century. And even over all these years, we're still way ahead of everybody. And even some of the experts reluctantly said technology like this is impossible. They should not be available until 2050. But we're here. They were wrong. We'll prove them wrong. So here's the one of the books that introductory books of the theory that introduced by our professors. I'll just show you the some pages, and I help translate from Chinese to English. And but there are volumes of books written on this topic, and so my goal is to make sure that every one of the page will be translated into world language, so everybody can have access to this. So here's the theory. Here's the mathematics behind this. Okay, so we're talking about basically a combination of Lagrange Euler equations and into this Euler Lagrange or Lagrangian Euler mathematical complex called basically the system theory behind. You look at the two functions, and you have the Lagrange, then you have Euler, those two coordinates. Now those two-dimensional plot of six-dimensional mathematical concept doesn't do justice to the complexity of the system. So we basically take one point, which is on your chest on a V5, close to your heart. Another point is on your right, from the right wrist to left leg, and the signal is completely resting, collected. Then we'll do a bunch of mathematical transformations through the system to interrogate the entire system to make sure we extract every piece of information there is possible to represent the system we're trying to study. Now, here is the fundamental 6 mathematical transformations. And I equate through this as a Maxwell's 4 equations to describe the electrical magnetic relationship between electricity and magnetism. And here we're talking about supply demand of the heart muscles and blood flow, or brain tissues, blood flow of the 2 organ systems. And each function represents a very complex system, piece of system. I'll just give you one example due to its time. Just look at phase angle shift, okay? And the phase angle shift is a very interesting equation. It allows you to look at the phase difference between V5, V2. If there's any asynchronization, because the 2 clocks supposed to kick in sync, okay? It doesn't matter, they're in different space. But if we measure any difference out of sync, the frequency band, we can pick up immediately. Diseases like ischemia and heart muscle damage, myocarditis, all these things can give you abnormal signals exquisitely. We can pick them up. So it turns out all these 6 functions carry very profound, deep physiological meaning. And each function will, have multiple volumes written on its relationship to human physiology, which I'm not going to elaborate here.
Okay. Without going deep, Dr. Shen, on those 6 functions.
Yes.
Just a comment about it. These 6 functions are used in system engineering by real world engineers, mechanical
absolutely
to build machines, and they use this technology for the machines. So
exactly.
So here, these 6 algorithms are the human machine.
Exactly.
The human machine that is coded by DNA that was engineered by a code. So, it's logical on what Dr. Jianquan Feng, who wrote that book, and what Dr. Shen has done. It is a logical mathematical. Well, we're looking at human mathematics. Remember, we are human and we're not perfect. So these are human equations. But the point is, this is the best of what humans have and the best of what engineers have that are humans that do this work on all kinds of things, everything from, a Boeing 747 to a, F-35 strike fighter.
Exactly. And that was really, when I showed this to Mr. Pratt, my neighbor, Edmund Pratt, he was shocked. He said, "You're telling me these functions actually apply to human biology?" I said, "Not only they apply to human biology, also they really apply to the power output dynamics of the cardiovascular and cerebral vascular system." And guess what? Those are actually driven by the mitochondrial network. So on the theory, we actually discovered the theoretical framework for the mitochondria network. Okay, because the power actually translates to ATP. ATP translates to power. You can link mathematically between the biology and the digital realm of the biology. Basically, it's a digital mirror of the human mitochondria.
Yeah. One more comment also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So for Mike and anybody who has gone through a program like SEAL Team 6, okay, endurance and mental capability, your cardiovascular system powered you through Hell Week and everything you did professionally, which involved you in athletics and stimulus and strength and all of that. This system can benchmark you. Just like you got graded by your mentors, it can benchmark you. So the value of it to like a soldier or military or athlete, not just a regular old person that's worried about their health, is that you can understand the hidden things about yourself and your cardiovascular system, and you can make diet adjustments or exercise adjustments and improve yourself as a machine relative to your goals. If your goal is you want to make SEAL Team 6, or your goal is you want to make the NFL, or you want to play baseball, or you just want to, be healthy. Once you have an understanding using a system engineering algorithm, you can benchmark and measure yourself and improve upon it as a machine.
Absolutely. And the applications the applications of this framework is absolutely vast. It can be applied to space travel, can be to deep sea diving, and high altitude mountain climbing, mountaineering. I'm talking about industrial activities, and you name it, and the major toxicities of the environmental agents, the food, processed food, toxicity of any drugs, and the environment, and also toxicity of people's stress that caused by emotional stress or physical stress. All these is a fair game. So it's really a new world, a new principle, philosophy to look at how the human physiology, biological energy network dynamics is really supporting life. Okay, so anything causes the system, the supply-demand imbalance, this is it. This will pick it up. Okay, the reason I said that the allopathic medicine is bits and pieces of unreality is they're focusing on bits and pieces of the late-stage sickness for profits. And so they don't pay attention to these things. They think these things are just frivolous. You know why? Because what we present really doesn't fit their common narratives, okay? And that's another reason they hate us, because we can point out what they're doing to people is absolutely atrocious. And we can prove it, the data to provide to them. So that's another reason that we work hard to make sure that this technology sees the light of the day. With you guys' support, with everybody's help, we can help everybody, all the inhabitants of the Earth or beyond Earth, not just humans, but animals will benefit from this as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Shen, and you can tell with this machine, you take a vaccine and you start to feel bad and collapse, you can see exactly where in your cardiovascular system it's not working.
Let me give you a recent example. Exactly. Yeah, in minutes, we take about 10 minutes to do the test. But the bottom line here is this. I have people calling me now, and that they have been using our technology to do exactly like that. I'll give you an example. In Idaho, and there's a pharmacist, okay, his name is Scott, and he was pretty severely injured by his Pfizer vaccines, okay? He developed a severe reaction to it. He nearly died from it, I think. And then he said, everything else, I'm a healthy guy. I don't have any problems. Everything's fine. And all my medical records didn't say I have any problems. Then MCG detected that he really had actually myocarditis, okay? And so then they measured his spike protein antibodies. It was sky high, okay? So then he sort of, oh, well, what can you do? So then 3 months later, he became worse. And he tested on MCG again. MCG this time also got worse in parallel. Now, MCG was completely objective, completely outside of his story, didn't know anything about his story, basically gave me objective data, where it is. So then he got bumped into a bunch of holistic care and people who do alternative medicine, and they put him inside a protocol, a detox protocol, and guess what? He recovered, and then subsequent MCG showed, yeah, he really improved tremendously functionally. So now they're going to use this story to say, hey, people can don't despair. We can help people because there may be solutions we can do, and also Scott's protocol should be used for that purpose as well. So we can use those tools objectively demonstrate to everybody that help is here. Okay, we can help everybody. And
Dr. Shen is very modest, because I'm going to tell you something. Those algorithms and all of that, there are 13 patents, okay? And Dr. Shen, who's a medical doctor, designed the electronic circuitry under that Panasonic brick, which is military grade brick. Underneath that is special circuitry to handle. You don't just collect this data. This isn't just like I put a lead on and it's just a lead.
Yeah,
it's not just the lead. It's behind the lead a proprietary technology that handles signal to noise and amplification in order to collect very sensitive data. Because if that data is not collected correctly, first off, it won't be of value. But what I'm telling you is that an EKG machine or an ECG machine, they just plop leads on you, and when they plop those leads on you, it's a raw data feed. It's not in any way, shape, or form an electronic technology to handle signal to noise, which Dr. Shen developed, to take that signaling, to bring it in, to be able to even collect that data, to even be able to do AI on it using computer technology. It just simply didn't exist. So we got 13 patents related to this.
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm just one of those contributors, and as I said, I'm the worker, and I implement this theory and build the machines and make sure it really works and make sure it's safe, effective, and I'll put my name on this. I want to make sure that I'm not going to hurt one single soul on this planet. I want to make sure the technology only does is help everybody.
So this technology, especially right now, I think could be extremely valuable, because after COVID and COVID vaccination programs, we're seeing myocarditis has exploded, and pericarditis. And I remember a study in Japan where it was like they didn't hold back. They said it was like epidemic there. So yeah, this technology is really needed right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And actually, the pharmacist Scott's story was very typical. I mean, he's just one of the hundreds, maybe millions of people affected by this. So we can really help everybody. That's bottom line. We can measure if whatever the person is getting treated really works or not. Okay.
Yeah.
Objectively, first, do you
Huge.
have a problem? If you have a problem, okay, is your treatment working? And it's all 100% objective. Okay, there's no guessing, there's no bias, and what you see, what you get. And another thing I want to add, what Scott said was very important. The reason why EKG didn't work, because it's a theoretical foundation, was built on somebody's imagination, which is Einthoven, said human heart is like a battery. You have a plus minus dipole and project 3-dimensionally into vectors, then record the vectors, voila, here's the electrical signal of your heart. They call it electrical cardiogram, EKG, right? However, in real situation in biology, that plus minus isoelectric point doesn't even exist.
Wow.
Where is it? It's imagination. So then the entire 125 years, the echo chambers of academia publish all these things. They just believe that theory. That theory has never been proven, gentlemen.
Wow.
All right. So now we're from
Huge.
outside in. We collect the power from each cell of your body collectively using the system theory, 6 functions. We show you what the reality really is. I think it's just opposite, because I think the heart is driven by all the mitochondria, all the cells, all the power generated by your body to drive the circulation, to drive the system, drive the power, drive the flow of the blood flow, drive nutrients and the nerve conductions and all the things, the genetics, the genes behind it, and all the intracellular organelle. And basically, we're looking at actually 2 major metabolic pathways. One is called mTOR, the other one AMPK. Those 2 major metabolic pathways are really driven, completely dependent on the energy power delivered by the mitochondria. And we're measuring that. We're actually measuring that. Okay. So that's why I'm very excited when talk about these things, because I think we hold the key to the secrets of how human brain and heart, or animal brain and heart, really behaves physiologically, and built on real data. So let me just give you a flow of chart of this monstrosity.
Hey, Dr. Shen,
yeah.
And I'll say it because I know you don't want to say it, but it really is the difference between measuring things with like sticks and string, and doing it with high tech analytical equipment that's measuring it properly. And the sad thing is what that did was, and
I apologize for this. Let me shut this off.
Just mute it for 1 second.
Yeah, I did.
The truth of the matter is that cardiologists in the United States, and this is published fact, whether it's in the United States or in China, are approximately 40% accurate in diagnosis. And that is the result of having inadequate tools that let you diagnose people. And it's really like, you want to behave like caveman, well, you're going to get, poor results. And that's 40% is enough. It's enough. So that is what really, before COVID, Dr. Shen was way ahead of his time, but before COVID, okay, he was there saying, hey, that kid that dropped on the football field or the baseball field, it didn't have to happen.
Exactly.
We found out, and this is what happens here.
Exactly. And so I think the fundamental philosophy difference with what we do and the entire allopathic medicine is built on late-stage sickness-seeking profiteering. Okay, I added the kabuki dance theater because they're focusing on bits and pieces of the reality of this big, gigantic, iceberg. And they say, oh, that's put a flag to that. That's what we're focusing on. And guess what? They're neglecting the rest of the system. That's why 50%, more than 50% people develop heart failure. They're completely missed by the cardiologist. By the time they had heart failure, it's way too late. And the only way they're going to have is a spiraling downward spiral and then die early, prematurely. Okay. And also, if you look at the all the imaging tests, all the stress tests, are focusing on one thing: the visible arteries that you can see on the angiogram. And guess what? That's probably 15% most of all heart diseases. Okay. Then what happened to the 85%? They're completely flying blind. The worst part of that, they cannot detect early signs, reversible signs of those heart problems that we can reverse them use simple lifestyle. And people can really reverse them. Guess what? They can avoid chronic diseases. They can avoid taking multiple drugs. They can avoid going to the hospital, get an angiogram, get a stress test, and get poked around, and they put a stent in or do a bypass surgery. All these things are frivolous, useless. Okay, wasting hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money, and with what yield? Less than 1% yield. Okay, it's really atrocious. So don't get me started there. So that's why I'm passionate about this. I believe with the new pathways, early detection, prevention, disease reversal, we can put a major stop to this chronic epidemic. Okay. And I think the MAHA people should really love this technology, should take this run with it, because we can really help everybody. We can save this country hundreds of billions of dollars for unnecessary medical care. Period. Okay.
Period.
So let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's get started. So we have the leads from the chest V5, lead 2, which is right wrist to left ankle. You lay flat, relax, and not panicking, and don't speak and don't move. Relax for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Now collect data, go through amplification and digitization, encrypted data, and we send us through the cloud, through the internet, to our server side. Then we'll be decrypted data. Then we'll do a fast Fourier transformation. Okay, and that is a mandatory, because you're converting time domain into frequency domain. And the interesting is that when you square the FFT or DFT, discrete fast Fourier transformation, guess what? You get power. Remember, we're talking about power. We use the auto power and cross power spectrum transformations, converting them to the 6 functions I was talking about before. Okay, each function represents a major part of human physiology for heart and brain. Okay, that information is basically signal average of 16 segments, 5.12 seconds at 100 hertz frequency, which is signal processing jargon. You don't have to worry about that. Then what does that? Out of the 6 functions, we'll have empirically learned over the years. We extracted a lot of mathematical elements called indices out of each function. So far, we have discovered, validated about 168. But we discovered more than that. We discovered more than 200. So out of the more than 200, 168 have been proven beyond any reasonable doubt over the generations. Okay, so this is the function that we build the matrix. Okay, and we have the pattern material matching of the training data, and actually now it's more than 250,000 people, from normal people to people with various heart diseases, very strategically, carefully selected, vetted, and make sure they are accurate, and half women, half men, and age from 14 youngest to 100 years old. Okay, and then that data is really the basis to build the algorithms, as I talk about it, to identify the complex patterns of various diseases from the earliest stage to the latest stage due to any cause. And we can quantify it, we can digitize and quantify it, so we know exactly what's negligible, what's okay, what's not so okay, what's reversible, what's really severe, and we just got to do something quick. to save somebody's life, and all that is now under your fingertips. Okay, so then we use the data container to study new things, to study new patients coming in. Then we do mathematical computations to find out what it fits into what category and what group, what type of pathology. So the bottom line is that what we have discovered, the mathematical elements give you 10, actually 12, because 6 functions each has 2 domains, two phases. Okay, 6 domains and 12 phases. So 10 to the 168 power, which is the quintillion parameters. Okay, and actually Google has 10 to the 100th power. So we are actually 10 to the 68th power greater than Google. That number actually equals to all the visible atoms of the universe.
Wow.
It's just incredible. The data is just incredible. And that's a gift to mankind. And one of these days, we're going to open source everything we've discovered, because that belongs to the world, belongs to mankind. We just don't want to read too early. People can abuse it and destroy our legacy. But so that is just, this is the work. Okay, this is the networking, gigantic monstrosity, and but it really works. We have proven over and over and over again. So this is the repeat the quintillion numeric complexity, and I'll talk about the mTOR and AMPK pathway. Actually, it really has direct direct link to genetic survival, and it's a metabolic switch, master switch, that is influenced by diet, exercise, intermittent fasting, caloric restriction, medical issues, cardiomedical diseases, you name it, space travel, anything that affecting this network, this pathway is fair game. Okay, so we have gone through the FDA, we have done our homework. Okay, the whole thing takes about 10 minutes, and also the severity resort is from 0 to 22, empirically driven. We'll have 8 different levels, so we can give people where you are. You can monitor yourself or monitor through a provider to make sure you're safe and sound, and make sure if you have early signs, you can reverse with a simple lifestyle change. So after 2.5 generations of work, we believe we have created something that's really useful, can help people, okay, to monitor, to early detect, and the overall cardiometabolic vascular system physiological function beyond all the legacy cardiology tests. And this monumental discovery is unprecedented. So basically, I'm talking about legacy cardiology. I think I had enough said about them. I'm going to skip them. And the bottom line is that what they have really doesn't work. I mean, so people get people get hurt because that irresponsible late-stage sickness-seeking profiteering cabal that should be totally thrown out. The system should be thrown out, should be kicked out.
So Dr. Shen, now with this technology, and many studies have been done, and you don't have to go into all of that, but
I'm gonna skip the a lot of slides here because with time is a constraint.
Right, but basically Orlando Regional. Okay.
Yeah,
the point is Orlando Regional study and all these other studies have led us to be 95% plus accurate.
Yes.
As a diagnostic machine.
Exactly.
So the point is with that kind of accuracy, you have the ability now to raise the bar and to not cause people to have bills. They go in with a hospital or whatever it is. First, you let them know up front what their health situation is.
Right.
And second, you don't need to have all these tests that don't work.
Exactly.
You can get the medical treatment you need, and it makes it more efficient, but the patient isn't blowing their money. You don't expect the patient to know everything about medicine.
Of course not.
Okay. And with the way the economy is, especially with the way medicine is, it's not cheap. So
No.
the average person can't afford to go through all these diagnostic tests, and the problem that they find themselves in is they have limited money.
Yeah.
And now they go into this system, and the system becomes a financial burden on them, and they become more stressful. They become maybe misdiagnosed and treated improperly with medications that do not cure them. And it snowballs into a giant mess that ruins people's lives. And these are the people that we need to build and make America great. And the problem is these people are sick. They're sick and laid up. How are they going to go work? And how are the people going to do the things that we need to do? Build the factories, fix the roads, rebuild from catastrophes. And this is the, not to give a pun, but this is the heart of the problem. And,
it is.
And so, you got to make America healthy. You've got to use the right tools and the right technology and the right transparency without lying. And this is the point he's made. Because if you don't, you're going to keep spinning your wheels and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, let me just give you a simple example. Just past 2 days happened. We have a customer who is serving in the Hillsborough County sheriff and the prison system. Okay, and he's been promoting he's really a true evangelist of technology. He wanted to make sure that our technology gets adopted by the prisons and by the sheriff's department to help them. I just give you an example. A 24-year-old kid complaining chest pain. He had some abnormal EKG and some blood tests. They said, oh, this guy probably had pericarditis. He did see a cardiologist. He needs to be in the hospital, admitted. And the cost of doing that, plus hospital admission, will probably cost the jail and the sheriff and also the NAVCare, which is the medical management firm for the jail, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, hundreds, thousands of dollars. So, so Steve, our hero there, said, look, let's make sure the diagnosis is correct, right? Let's do a 10-minute simple test on MCG. Let's make sure if there's a pericarditis, okay, so be it. If there's no pericarditis or things that you think the patient has, then we're not only going to save the patient a trip, also save the system literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It turns out all the patient had was cocaine-induced heart problems, but without any severe pericarditis, myocarditis, ischemic heart disease, anything that could potentially kill him. So guess what? He didn't have to go anywhere. And the system saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, the jail and the sheriff department want to adopt our technology and to test everybody. So that's a simple example, organic example through really individual efforts to get us into the market. So here's what happened. And we have gone through various clinical trials and many. Okay. You know what? I got to answer this. I'll be right back.
I'll just make a comment here. Okay. Yeah. So the problem,
Ray, what's going on?
That he's talking about with the prison system is that these prisoners who are coming in there, they've abused drugs and things like that. They're in the prison system, and there's no air in Florida. There's no air conditioning in some of these prisons. So what they do is they claim they have health problems. They get past the prison nurse and the little room there, and they get a trip to the ER. When they get the trip to the ER, it's a 4-day vacation on our tax dollars because it's air conditioned. They get good food. They get treated like king and queen, and they get to sit in there. And then the legacy diagnostic equipment and all the charges get jacked up, and that's how come it costs a lot of money in the prison system. In the same aspect, though, law enforcement and law enforcement people. And law enforcement is a stressful job. You deal with people that are not they're not your average decent person. Okay, they can get wild, and you know this. And people, the stress of that is a burden on your machine. Okay, it's a burden on you. And my brother-in-law, I have a lot of friends that are in law enforcement, fire department, all that. It's a stressful job. So my point is that it's a two-way street, not just cutting costs for tax dollars in the prison system, but our people that are serving the public, it helps them to understand what to do to remove some of these stresses, because when you are healthy cardiovascular wise, you don't have as much stress.
Yep.
Because you already have stress from the job, but then you have stress from your body, and they accumulate, and it causes more stress, and it leads to poor health. So
I'm back. I'm sorry. I apologize.
The cost of that gets reduced, but that's the point with sheriff and jails and all of that.
Yeah, $250 cost the jail to pay for our test report, and they save tens of thousands of dollars. That's the point. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We've gone through 7 countries, 3 continents, conduct clinical trials based on the best scientific methods, replicate and reproduce the results, make sure it works. And we've gone through all that. As a result of that, guess what? AMA gave us a CPT code, which is a category 3, basically describes that we can help detect severe coronary obstruction diseases with severity assessment. And we also received the honor of high mark Medicare, and decided to cover our tests, to pay $300 each time, 4 times a year for the Medicare recipients. And however, they stipulated, okay, if anybody who's tested on MCG, they're not going to pay the stress test, stress echo, nuclear, and CT scans. And that faithful decision nearly killed our company. You know why? Because the cardiologists would not allow this. Okay. They came out with guns blazing. They wanted to kill us, stop us from going to the market. So the past 10, 12 years, we've been really, they try to cancel us and destroy our company. They did all those things trying to stop us. And thank God we survived. Yeah. Thank God we found market, find customers who are willing to support us, just like Steve working in the prison, and he became evangelist, and like my good friend John Scott here trying to help us. Right. So we're Dr. here.
Shen. Dr. Shen, can you tell them what a CPT code is relative to a medical examination test?
Yeah, CPT code basically is the way that medical doctors bill the insurance for whatever they perform. Okay, it's basically a billing code. Okay, the code is that describe your technology and etc. It's really a code used to game the system to make as much money as possible out of the system. Okay,
right. And but Dr. Shen, isn't this an area that is antiquated and full of red tape?
My God! Oh my God!
Because
it's rigged.
Is you become a number. You're a patient, but you become a series of numbers on a bill, and so in order for you to even get in a hospital, you better have a CPT code, because the doctor can't bill you for that service if you don't have the CPT code. And this is a nasty part of the business of medicine, because it's about, like lawyers, it's about billable hours. And if they can't bill you, they're not going to get that Mercedes Benz or the yacht or, the whole thing. And so really, this is where medicine has been perverted. Okay. It's become a number in a business versus a profession and a practice of the art. And that's hurting us as Americans. It's hurting us badly, very badly. Thank you.
So where can people actually go and get this done? The MCG.
We do have some customers in different parts of the country. and we really need to be in 50 states, okay? And we're working on that. But yeah, we have places that offer the test, even in Idaho and Oregon. We have Michigan and different places. And so the way to do this is to get onto our website, call our company, and we'll find a way to get you tested, okay? And I have also nurses, bunch of evangelists. They carry the machine because the machine is portable to deliver the tests to where people needed it. And they go to churches, they go to schools, they go to, for instance, Damar Hamlin, okay, and his family actually are thinking about building a van called the Mark Hamlin MCG Heart van, okay, and to go to the sports teams to offer tests and to make sure that don't die suddenly because of a disease, that heart disease, early signs be missed. So those are the things that at work we're constantly pushing forward and develop a market for ourselves and develop a market for everybody. And we need all help we can get. And the bottom line is that the system is going forward. And with all the difficulties, all the challenges we have faced.
Right.
And thank God.
On that slide, Dr. Shen, you see where you have the continents: USA, Germany, Japan, India, China, Singapore.
Right.
Okay, so can you make a few comments about Premier Heart Japan and the fact that Mayoshi Shan's his nephew Shen is a part owner of Premier Heart Japan, and that Mayoshi-san knows about the AI technology and is an AI leader and has been an influential AI person relative to the Japanese market, what this is in the Japanese market, and the fact that he brings a lot of that to Maha and President Trump's initiative for Stargate.
Yeah, actually, I have to correct it here. It's the cousin of Mayoshi. Is a part of Shen, not directly through Mayoshi. So yeah, his cousin was a part of the Premier Heart Japan. But the bottom line is that our name is out there now. People beginning to realize what we do. And actually, I recently posted an article, was actually invited by the Maha people to put it out, and hopefully, Africa Junior, the right people here and give us support. They can actually help us to get national coverage, and everybody have access to it publicly, and to do a better job to help everybody. So we are in the process working on that. We never stop, we never give up, but we need all the help we can get from everybody to make sure this technology finally deserves its rightful place in the history of medicine. And
it turns out the Japanese are the hardest to diagnose because their cardiovascular system is small. So all these instruments, all the tests that you get as an American, they don't work for the Japanese people. They don't work. They're the only race that the equipment, it has a high error rate on the Japanese race. So the fact that a lot of this data was done in Japan and it became AI and it's more prevalent in Japan, okay, and the companies that are involved, because Panasonic, it's on a Panasonic brick, they're OEM partner. The fact of the matter is that it's more difficult for them. But where we are in current news, we've seen Project Stargate. We've seen people that are aware of the technology. They've done it in Japan. They're aware of it. And when they're at the table now, it's important because we tested pilots, okay? We've tested pilots in Jacksonville, right, Dr. Shen? We've tested pilots, but we need to go into the United States military and commercial pilot industry, and we need, because all the pilots have pilot doctors. As a result of what has happened, they lowered their standards as a result of the COVID vaccines. That's not true medicine. That's not transparent. We need to go there and test those people and qualify them for their own safety, okay? But also the VA and the military. So
right.
those people deserve the best. And the point is, this has been it has been a more of a political struggle than it has been a honest medicine and science struggle. And that has to change. Okay. And hopefully, and I hope to God it changes now with the Maha, but that is the obstacle. It's not
bottom line, but we're here and we thank God we survived the onslaughts and the pandemic, the onslaughts of the establishment cardiologists, and but we're still here, and people are helping us. We're finding markets. For instance, now the prison healthcare managers like NAFCare, like Centurion, now want to adopt our technology. Okay, we're talking about 6,245 prisons and jails around the country. So that vertical alone is basically open for us, because you know why? Because cardiologists don't really care about that, because these are these are people considered the lowest on totem pole, the sheriffs and the captured robbers, and who cares about them? But these people need health care. So our test doesn't matter if you're a robber or you're a billionaire, give you the same data. So we're into now, because of the customers that we like Steve, that organically we're going to be into that market. So we need help to go to the military. We need help to go to the VAs. We need help to go to various markets, and we can literally work with everybody, make it into enterprises that people not only can do well, also do very good, do good things and do well with this. And the numbers are actually working really well for everybody. And so we're here to help. We're here to support.
So Mike, you're on mute. By the way, we were in the VA, Mike. You're on mute. We were in the VA, and we have been in the VA, and we have been doing testing with the VA. And the one point, okay, and this is all before COVID. All right, we have product plans and designs to go into 2045 with the technology curve and everything that's happening with electronics and computing. We have a roadmap and beyond. The problem is that the past administrations, okay, we're seeing changes, but the past administrations were
They didn't care. They didn't care.
They're making poor decisions relative to their people that they're servicing. Okay, and without throwing any, we don't want to really throw mud and in the face of the people of the VA, but this is a great opportunity with all the changes that we're seeing in DC now to bring that technology to them and to collect even more data. But the point is,
exactly,
those people don't need to suffer from not having the state-of-the-art technology. And what was happening before COVID was insane, and what's happened now is just, it's like crazy. It's like, what is this, a psych ward? It's absolutely out of control. So now we pray that with what is happening in DC with RFK, what is happening with this shakeup, what we're seeing, what we're getting signals of now, people going to be transparent and honest. Okay,
right. Yeah,
let's talk about it, because we've seen athletes drop dead and be defibbed on Monday Night Football. We're seeing athletes dropping dead all the time. We're seeing relatives. I mean, every one of us has been affected by this bio war and COVID, and we're seeing it. So in my case, to elaborate, because you did ask me before, Scott, what does Allicin V have to do with this? What is all this? So when I met Dr. Shen, I was in Verizon, and when I was in Verizon, I could go across silos of all business units and different things. One of the things I was looking at was identity. Okay. I was looking at identity and using those algorithms with your password for high-end security authentication to validate you were whom you said you were based on your electrophysiology. Okay. But I also thought that this machine contributed to 3.5, could contribute to Verizon's bottom line in their health division, which is $80 million a year at the time, cloud services. I thought it could contribute $3.5 billion year over year. Okay. Now, with that, those people made poor decisions that cost them. That healthcare division got shut down. That entire cloud division got shut down. And in my honest opinion, that was a business mistake. People make those. I've seen all kinds of business mistakes and billions of dollars. This is where we have to change our culture. And you know, I mean, I'm praying, I really pray that RFK and all those people can help. But myself, I never took a vaccine. So fall 2019, I get long COVID. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. My doctors don't even know what's going on. I have a Harvard MD. He doesn't know. So I had the tests as they came forward. I had the tests that were coming out of the clinic for SARS Cov2 antibody, my blood test from Quest Labs and all those things. But because when I left Verizon, okay, I walked over because Dr. Shen and I have a mutual colleague that I worked for when I worked for the company that did black projects and the CIA and the United States military. And that's Ray. And so I walked over to them and said, hey, I'm leaving Verizon now. I really like your technology and I think it is incredible. So I had the unfair advantage, okay, of going to get, I already had a baseline on my MCG. Okay. So I went and did my blood test the same day I went and did my blood test. I did an MCG. Okay. And it turned out that I had myocarditis in my heart from the virus. And it turns out, okay, this piece of equipment showed it to me that I had it. All right. Now I'm going to tell you that we had cardiologists from University of Columbia in New York that came crying to us. Okay. They came crying to us and begged us for our software. And we said, look, we'd love to give you the software, but without the capability, you can't do anything. The point is, okay, I saw it in my heart. So what I did was I not only was struggling with COVID and having cytokine storms and having antibody effects and allergies to my food and asthma and loss of smell and taste and all of that. Okay. I had the myocarditis in my heart. So I ate resveratrol. Okay. The reason I ate resveratrol was to help me with inflammation in my heart. And the long story short, and this is the real truth, because when you look at this data and you look at the data of the patients, what you find out is that it isn't just coronavirus. It's strep throat. It's staph infection.
Yeah, exactly.
These proteins, okay, that are sitting there are full of glucose. And because they're sugar-coated with glucose, when they come in through your lungs and they go right through the pulmonary tract of the heart, they oxidize the heart and MCG sees it. Okay. Now, this glucose is camouflage. It's just like the camouflage that a military person would wear to hide, or you have weapon systems painted that way. It's camouflage. And what happens is the innate immune system cannot recognize the spike proteins, whether they're on coronavirus or staph infection or strep throat. Can't recognize them, and it can't recognize them. And as a result, you get infected. Okay, so that is how I got infected with COVID. All right, I got infected by spike proteins. I never took any vaccine, but that's how you get infected with a vaccine when they inject you with it. And you
It's same thing. It's same thing.
Same thing. It's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. So
exactly.
in my point where I was, I was on a personal journey as somebody who had up in age 36 in 2003. Then I had medications from the GI specialist and bleeding that did not heal me, and a bunch of questionable things, that events that went on with my line of work and lawsuits. Okay. The people who may have poisoned me at the fast food place on purpose. Okay. With an intent in the middle of these things. So I decided that I would go on a journey to try to reduce having colds because I was eating way too many antibiotics and it was contributing to all of this. And I would change my ways. Well, 36, that did pretty good until 46. Because at 46, I was in the middle of doing crazy things for Verizon and Highlands Ranch and Garden of the Gods and people in India and Verizon Data Service India. Okay. Cyber war things classified to the NSA level. So I was killing myself working 18-hour days. And I was wearing down and I was having cardiovascular problems and diabetes came back. Well, that was the time when I met Dr. Shen and I had my MCG and I found out I scored a 3 as a 46-year-old, and that's diabetic. I've had some remodeling damage from too many Mountain Dews and too many bad diets and too many of that. But guess what? I can reverse that with my diet. Then comes
COVID. That's the key.
Then comes COVID 2019. So when I had myocarditis and COVID, my score wasn't a 3. It was up around a 5 to a 6. And if you are sick and you get an MCG score of a 5 to a 6 and you're having certain symptoms, you can tell them, Dr. Shen, they'll check you in the hospital, okay, and check you out because you could have a number of things, including stenosis or these other diseases. In this case, we're talking about either a vaccine that was defective or retrovirus or an infection. So I had it and I scored that level. Now, when I took, because I am a DNA expert and I was looking at the spike protein and I was looking at the envelope protein, and the coronavirus has a digital nano machine that is coded by RNA. It's a machine defined by the language. I was looking at the protein architecture. I'm looking at the diagnostic tests, right? So when I came up with Allicin as the next solution, first I came up as an aerosol, which was defective. It was defective because you cannot put an aerosol on the lungs in 1 millisecond. Okay. You can do that with a vapor. So that's why I moved to a vapor, but there was a problem with the garlic plant and the dose. So that came from the journal Molecules Related to Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, MDR strains like MRSA and the problems there. I hacked that. I hacked the DNA codes of the garlic plant. So I got the reaction 100% the right dose, and then I fixed the physics problem. And then I had the information from Journal of Virology that I presented to Dr. Joseph Latipo, the Surgeon General of the state of Florida, and Dr. Kenneth Shepke, his deputy director. I had that. I had it. Okay. And it wasn't just SARS CoV2 on the night of February 1st. It was MERS and SARS, and it was bovine coronavirus and these other coronaviruses that are in animals that don't infect humans. And so when I saw that problem and I saw the publications and I saw these were gene knockout publications in the Journal of Virology, gene knockout publications that were one for the spike protein and one for the envelope protein, and it involves cysteines and disulfide bridges. When I saw that, I knew that I had a great chance of getting diagnostic information from my own medical records, Quest Labs, on my blood work, on my allergy specialist, Dr. Jack Perino, who uses this product himself, relative to my immunity and IgE antibodies and IgE antibody cytokine storm, which I had that create asthma. I had a great chance of matching that data with MCG. So when I went to get my blood drawn, when I went and did each diagnostic for immunology, I had an MCG. Okay. And
Absolutely.
it showed the presence, and it revealed the myocarditis that those blood tests did not reveal. It revealed it. And because I'm diabetic, it's more dangerous, because what happens is when these pathogens either injected in you from a vaccine or they are inhaled through your lungs, that amount of sugar is robbed from your lung tissues and thrown in your blood. And that's what causes the spaghetti rubber clots. Okay. Because there's no insulin excreted. The only way insulin is excreted is if you eat food, it goes in your small intestine, and insulin is excreted from your pancreas to your small intestine and reabsorbed to the blood. So it's a denial of service is what it is. Okay. It's a denial of service. And when you have a denial of service on a biological system, there are ramifications. And the ramifications, the myocarditis ones, are your brain and the inflammatory connection between the vagus nerve and your brain and your heart no longer communicate. And your heart stops beating and you drop dead Monday Night Football, or you drop dead on the battlefield. And I've had a person that had a heart attack in Iraq, the canine. You know, it's not a good situation. And the other one that I mentioned was the cascades that are involved with your cardiovascular system. What happens, that sugar starts circulating around your body with the spike protein, and it inflames your endothelial tissue, which is the lining of the cardiovascular system. MCG sees that and scores it. That's right before the microclots form. That's where MCG sees it. That's where it is. Because if that prolongs itself, now you got rubber band spaghetti clots. And the next thing you know, you got stenosis. And let me tell you, way before COVID, where MCG was and what he described with those people, Ed Pratt, the other people, and all the people that he has a list so long, it's crazy, of people who he saved lives, who went and got the surgery and planned for the surgery and did the bypass surgery and had the procedures when their own doctors could not see with the traditional tools the stenosis and artery clogging. Okay. So that now, with the fact that we've had these vaccines and the viruses and all that stuff, now there's even higher risk. Okay. The embalmers are showing you pictures of spaghetti clots, and you know, we have diagnostics. Okay. We have diagnostics from Kevin McCarran has done work recently, and we have also work from the health ranger Mike Adams, and those people, they've done a lot of work on it, and they've done work saying, hey, this is what the spaghetti clots are. But we already knew that, because raging diabetics have the same problem. And so look at what you've done here in the United States with these vaccines. You didn't test or safety check them. Now you inject diabetics, but you got diabetics over here getting sick from COVID. And those people are the ones that get hit so hard. Okay. It's like, you know, it's like Tyson or Nino punching you in the first round of a big championship fight. You're a diabetic, you get hit by COVID, or you get hit by the vaccine. You know, average person is getting up from that. Imagine a diabetic, you've already got problems. You're not getting up. So anyway, my point was, I measured it. Okay. I measured it with the MCG, and then my medical records were subpoenaed by Ashley Moody. They were subpoenaed by Ashley Moody because my Harvard primary MD, he told me that eosinophiles on a CBC blood test was background noise. And I called his bluff. And, you know, Dr. Perino helped me with that. Dr. Shen helped me with that. And the truth prevailed. But the Allicin V thing that I invented, which I filed the patent for on March 23rd, 2020, okay, I was using my own technology. And when I tracked it with MCG, I saw the myocarditis leave. I saw it leave. And that's how I knew that I was being successful. And my big, sincerest point to you, because I know you're involved with LifeWave and a number of other things, those technologies, MCG is a way of showing your people, hey, usage of LifeWave or usage of your therapy or your diet or all these things. This is a measuring stick. Look, you know, you should, you may have been walking a mile before, but maybe you can run one now. And it is true. And so the same thing goes for the guy who wants to be in SEAL Team 6 and he doesn't have the endurance because he doesn't have that supplement in his diet that gives him that extra oomph to make it past the physical training to get there. Okay. And that's true.
We can help. We can really help because the key is early detect, prevent, reversal. And you build up, guess what? You pass over the threshold. And also the best part of that, you're not going to be bombarded with all these stuff that the problems that the Scott brought up because they're all prevented, all preventable. You don't have to suffer from blood clots. Okay. You don't have to do that because you've detected early, you do the right things. There are tools now we can do, and the MCG will keep you safe. We detect, we monitor, we measure, keep everybody safe. The goal is to prevent, reverse early signs of diseases, whether acute or chronic diseases. That's a new philosophy in medicine. Instead of waiting for everybody to sick like a dog and just to make money off of you, and actually there's no cure. That's not medicine. Okay. The medicine is early detection.
And that's a pyramid scheme.
Exactly. Medicine is early detection, prevention.
Yes. And
that's the bottom line.
The last one is really, you know, athletes. So athletes push themselves, the best athletes, they push themselves to the limit. Sometimes they collapse on the field just from exhaustion. But collapsing on the field from a vaccine or a virus they don't know. I mean, I've heard one of the cases is a marathon runner. I knew before the reason I wanted to have MCG was because I knew that a marathon runner, he could not finish his marathons anymore, and he had a virus in his heart, and MCG found it. So I knew that I better test with MCG. I knew that I better have that there during this. And I was one of the first ones. And I also knew about all those people that were tested with rheumatic fever. Okay.
Right.
So rheumatic fever impacts the heart. And Dr. Shen was one of the first persons ever to have the rheumatic fever signatures for viral impact on your heart. So once I started looking at the physics of this technology, an incredible amount, and so I'm a DNA person that's done a lot of DNA and biochemistry, but I'm a chemist. So I've done physics and quantum mechanics and all of that. So when I saw what he created and what he did with the data, I wanted to pair them up. But even now, where we are going with Stargate, with Maha, and AI, it is going to be so important for us to collect children's DNA at birth to understand what their susceptibility is from a genetic code disposition. Okay, where we can see that we can see that they're born a certain way, and we can not prostitute their identity, take that identity and use it to make a health plan so that we know when they're going to have these problems, and then use a diagnostic tool like an MCG. Okay. And I'll tell you, I have a cousin who has a daughter. She was 7 years old. This girl had a
Scott,
strep.
I gotta jump in here. I got a show coming up. So
okay, I'll finish right now. She had 7 years old. She had strep throat. Okay. Same situation. Pots and amps is an 18-year-old, and her life was almost ruined. So the point is, the whole thing is avoid. The whole thing is avoid these conditions,
Preventable.
navigate them,
Preventable. Yeah.
and live cleaner and live better. So I mean, those
early
are
detection, prevention, disease reversal. That's the bottom line. It's a new age, new era in medicine.
And now I have,
Thank you.
Now I have that data relative.
Nice
right,
meeting
gentlemen.
you.
Thanks so much.
meeting you.
Great
Thank
show.
you very much.
We're going to have to do it again. We got so much to cover.
I'm sorry about the.
Thanks a lot. You have a wonderful day. We appreciate everything, Mike, and we appreciate all you do. And we're here, and you know how to reach us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.